Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're continuing our series on the new Gothic avatars, and today we're doing the Necromancer. I think it's a fan favorite, and here's my take on it. This is the third version of that list, and I think this is the most balanced as well. Really fun deck to play. Let's go through it. So we start with Summoning Sphere, Eclipse, and Jihad. So these three cards have the same round the back effect. You just position that onto one of your opponent side, and then it just helps you pushing through minions. It's some sort of a really permanent movement spell for you. It is really strong in that case because I found that Necromancer, even though you can get to make one minion a turn, because they're just one power minion, they tend to get killed before they get to do anything quite easily. So Summoning Sphere, Eclipse, and Jihad really helps with this. Jihad will give +1 power to your fire minion. Eclipse will give +1 power to your evil minions. So spirits, undead, and all of those will get +1. So it works really good in that list. We also have Sphere of Animosity. Sphere is one of the best elite in the set. It is really strong. It pins your opponent's avatar. It cannot heal, which is huge as well. It is definitely one of the best cards that came out of a Gothic. So we only run one copy because the effect is really strong, but we had to make some cuts in that list. All the cards really function well together, and then this is one of those that I couldn't really afford having a second copy of. Moving on to the artifacts, we play the Narcotic Manuscript. I hope I say that right. For the sole reason that we have disposable minions, we can pump really fodder every turn if we need to. Just for one, they can grab the manuscript and then tap it the next turn, take the damage, and then in the meantime you create another skeleton that can pick up the manuscript, etc, etc. Really strong. You get to draw an extra card pretty much every turn if you choose to. Next up we have two toolboxes. So toolbox will get us from the collection Bone Spear, Blink, and Disenchant, which are the main one you want to disenchant to be accessible because of Sphere and Animosity, we talked about it, but also Atlantean Fate, which are two really strong auras and meta at the moment. And we have two boils as well because I play a water list that is really strong, and then there's not many ways to deal with the amount of water minions that are just too strong at the moment. Ano, Maiden Mortal Crone, Lilith, all of that stuff. So this is a good way to deal with them for 3. Next up we have Arcade of Bones. This is a monument elite, and it reads, while in this row, undead moves freely and can't be targeted or damaged by magic. This is really strong with minions like Infernal Legion, Dapple Vampire as well. It gets you to go pretty much where you feel like in that row, plus Dapple Vampire having Hairborn. It just gives you a lot of movement freedom. So really strong effect. I'm only running one of those as well because 2 copy would probably be a bit too much realistically. We also have the Hemo Goblet. So Hemo Goblet is a card that I misread at first, thinking you could accumulate the effect, but no. You can only use one minion to fill up the goblet. It is still good, but in that case, we will fill up the goblet with our skeleton tokens. So we will heal 1 and then gain 1 mana a turn eventually if you don't find another use for our skeleton tokens. The goblet permits you to, even if not being able to attack or do anything with your minion, you still get to do something per turn by churning all these skeleton tokens. So it worked well in that list, and healing 1 after 4 or 5 times doing this, it makes a big difference for the end game. We also have 2 Bleeding Skulls. Bleeding Skulls is really strong in that list because your minions dies. They pop up, they die, they pop up, they die, you sacrifice them. So having a Bleeding Skull nearby will damage your opponent by 1 each time you sacrifice something, or your opponent attacks your minion as well and you decide to chum block with one of those tokens. We have 1 copy of Char Umphalots as well, Air and Fire Spellcaster. being a spellcaster is pretty good in that list because we have a lot of magic that tells you it's we have a lot of magic which needs to be positioned well. As Bone Spear, it shoots a projectile. If there are too many opponent minion in the way of your target, your Bone Spear is basically useless. Having an Unfollows, let's say, couple of cases ahead of your avatar will get you that tactical advantage that you can use being a spellcaster and being fixed. It gets removed easily. It is weak to swap as well, but overall, getting one card per turn is already good enough to be played. We'll start with the minions now. So we have 33 minions in this list. It's a little under the, let's say, usual 35-ish minions. The reason is we're pumping minions each turn if we want to. So 33 really is enough. We have 8 artifacts, and 33 minions is good. So we have 3 Grief Larvae. So Grief Larvae have borrowing, and at the end of the turn they deal 1 damage to this side. So you might take a couple of damage with your own minion at first playing, but obviously you want them to be carried with a Warhorse. You want them to go through your opponent's sights, through Jihad or Eclipse even, or Summoning Sphere. So you get the idea. You just drop them on your opponent's side, borrow them the next turn, and then just leave them there. If your opponent doesn't deal with them, it'll do some cheap damage, and that accumulates quite fast. Okay, we have a copy of One Shot Wizard. One Shot Wizard is good. He sends a projectile for 1, not really strong, but I can finish off a minion. But it's more so for the spellcaster. So spellcaster is relevant in Poison Nova because it targets nearby minion and minor explosion, basically 2 steps away. Can be problematic if you need, those 3 points of damage to put your opponent to door, and then you have that one-shot wizard next to your opponent's avatar. That is great, you're winning. Same goes for Flaming Skull. It doesn't have much going for it. It's airborne, 2 for 2, 2 power for 2 cost, but it's also a fire spellcaster, so that's the reason it's in there. We have 2 Bitter Departed, so it's an exceptional undead. It has 2 power and cost 2. Genesis effect reads, if an ally died last turn, may teleport to the killer to strike it. So you will use your skeleton tokens a lot to chump block your opponent and all. If you play this the turn after, you guarantee 2 points of damage. You get possibly another snowballing effect with your Bleeding Skull. It has a really good synergy in that list. It's really helped me, doing more chip damage either to the opponent avatar or their minion themselves. Don't be afraid to kill your minion in this list. That's the whole point of it. Having some synergies between dying minions, recursion, and all that sort of stuff. Talking about recursion, we have a copy of Grigory Rasputin. So one of my favorite minion in fire from this set. He is a spellcaster. It costs 2 and has 2 power. His ability says banish an evil ally, so you don't need a tap for this. And it says cast Rasputin from your cemetery. His ability reads banish an evil ally. Cast Rasputin from your cemetery to there. He adds their power and abilities to his own until it dies again. So it will die again and again, and it gets more powerful each time. It really works with a lot of minion in this list, such as Skeleton Mage. You can recast more and more magic from your cemetery. Stormgeist as well is really good with this, because Stormgeist is a really oppressive spirit. So you get the idea. The more you bring Rasputin, the better it gets, basically. Sacred Scarabs have a Deathrite ability that deals 3 damage to each unit here. It is bound to a location, which can be a bit tricky sometimes. You won't get the splash effect. However, it will clean house on the square it dies. So Sacred Scarab is a good synergy as well with one of the site we have in here called Saint Weld. So it's the opposite of the Geistwood, who came out in the earlier sets of Sorcery. This one reads Deathrite abilities. Here also Genesis ability. So if we get to play this and then put down your Sacred Scarab, they'll just blow up straight away, doing 3 points of damage to every unit there. So it's a good solution to finish off your opponent or some pesky minions that they have. We have 3 copies of Skeleton Mage. So he's a spellcaster. Genesis ability reads, may cast an ordinary magic from cemetery, banishing it afterwards. Most of our magic that is relevant for our game plan is ordinary. This is the three main magic that we'll use for our game plan, which is sacrificing our minion, do direct damage. So obviously Skeleton Mage is really good for this. You can turn your Rasputin into a Skeleton Mage for even more effect of that sort. We have 2 copies of Warhorse. So Warhorse is good to bring your scarabs closer from your opponent. It also is good to bring, you know, your one-shot wizard, so you can have that spellcaster effect unlocked if you need a poison nova all around your opponent and stuff like that. So Warhorse really good. Same goes for Red Cap Parries. It has charge, it attacks straight away. You want some sort of immediate payoff for some minions that you play in fire, and this is the 2 that tick the box. Next up we have Stormgeist. This is an impressive minion. Your opponent is going to be casting some magic at some point, maybe not as often as you would like. This is why I have 2 copies of it. One get removed, and then, you know, end game your opponent start bringing all the magic that he has in his deck and such, lightning bolt, and trying to finish you off. Well, Stormgeist will get you closer to victory just by moving freely, so you can basically have a movement +1 on certain situation. In terms of outreach, we have the Stygian archers as well. They have range, and when they kill an enemy, they summon a skeleton token where it dies. So again, with the skeleton token farming, they're also really good having range. Not many minions that have range are played in Sorcery, and this is one of those I think that has a bright future realistically. We also have 2 Avenging Angels, so a little bit similar than the Bitter Departed Spirit. This one reads, airborne, has charge and lethal if an ally died on your opponent last turn. So it's not bound to attack the killer of your minion, so you can sacrifice a skeleton token and it will still come in with charge and lethal. So it is strictly better than Bitter Departed, but you want a bit of overlap in the effect. In that case, we have a copy of Boudica. So if you have 3-4 skeleton token made on the board, then you decide to attack, if you have Boudica on board as well, they're all gonna be 4 power, which is massive. So Boudica are really good in any token strategy. We have 2 Hot Wheels, so 2 Hot Wheels for the reason that rolling forward 2 steps is massive. You know, it is an undead, it has extra movement, and it also strikes on its way there, so it already deals some damage. Sacrifice it with Detonate and you can clear a good portion of your opponent's board. Really like Hot Wheel, really good card. And we also have 3 copy of Dapperel Vampire. I don't think at this point I need to introduce the Vampire. Airborne, 4 power, and heal is massive. You want this in your list. It's an undead as well. You can banish it with Rasputin and then bring the threat again and again. It is one of the best minion in Sorcery, period. A copy of Infernal Legion. So Infernal Legion is really strong with the Arcane of Bone Monument, because the effect usually will affect you as well. By the effect I mean the adjacent damage is bound to, you know, burn one of your minions as well. If you get to send it to your opponent's avatar on the next turn it's placed, you're basically cleaning house as well. We have 2 copy of Those Will Linger, so I wasn't really sold on this card at the start, and then I kept on playing, and then the fact that it's just keep on bringing something on the board for 6. So you start with a 4 power minion, and then it dies. So you can have it dying voluntarily with, I don't know, the goblet. Maybe, you know, that's like 4 extra mana, and you heal for 4. But then you get a 3 power minion still, and then when that minion dies, the 3 power minion is good minion in sorcery. 3 is a good number. 4 is better, obviously, for the reason that, you know, lightning bolt and all this magic missiles sort of magic that deals 3 damage. But then your ghoul dies, and then you still have a skeleton token, so you end up with 3 different minion, possibly for 3 different situations, for 6. This is a really good endgame card in my opinion, because you can chomp, you can sacrifice if you need to, you will still have a board presence. I really like that card. We have a copy as well of Young Master Damien. So Young Master Damien is a 6 cost minion. It has 2 power, so very low powered, but it has a Genesis ability that reads, summon 2 ghouls from your collection here. They can't die while nearby. This is a card that I've played against, but it never came up in one of my game on my side. I had a really hard time getting rid of the ghouls when I was fighting against mostly Necromancer list. So I thought I'd just play it. I can't really speak from my own experience playing the card, because it never came up in any of the game I played with this list. So, but I faced it and I had a really hard time against it. So in my opinion, this is a strong card. We also have a copy of Draconian Bone Kite. So this is end of the curve in our minion list. This is a 7 cost minion, so this is quite big, like really endgame minion, but it also has 7 power and airborne. So just by that, this is a threat by itself. You can tap it, and it deals 3 damage to each other unit at target nearby location. Summon a skeleton token there for each unit that died. So you can recycle your own skeleton or minion, having the bleeding skull effect, creating more straight away. And then the fact that it's nearby gives it a really good range. If you manage to send it with an eclipse or a summoning sphere all the way on your opponent's side, it can really do a lot of damage. And also the fact that it creates more minion after doing some damage is an effect I think is really worth in this list. Moving on to our magic, so we have 15 spells in here. We have 2 Bone Spear. Bone Spear is great, but being a projectile, only 2 copies is enough in here. It can help you sacrifice more minion if you need to. You know, it's, again, some more bleeding skull effect. But the fact that it's a projectile will always, you know, not necessarily reach the target you need, and all that sort of stuff. So only 2 copy plus 1 in the collection is enough. We also have my favorite spell in that list, which is Detonate. So it costs 1, and it reads, destroy a minion or artifact you own or control. Own or control is really important here, because we also have 2 Infiltrate. So it doesn't need to be your minion. You know, it can be a minion you infiltrated, and then you can destroy that minion for an extra 1. So yeah, and it deals 3 damage to each unit as well at its location. It is not location bound for the effect, so it can be all across the board. And it's an ordinary, so you can run 4 copies as well. That's why we have 4 copy in the list straight up. None in the collection. I know it says 1 in the collection here, but this will be removed. We have 2 copy of Minor Explosion. So Minor Explosion is a good minion finisher in my opinion. The only things that goes against this card, it's the 2-step away condition. So again, this is why we have a few spellcaster minion, one-shot wizard, flaming skulls. It really helps, you know, with the placement for minor explosion to be a good card, basically. We have 2 Searing Throughs as well, so it came out in Gothic. This is one of the best way to finish your opponent. One is at death's door. It's guaranteed damage. And the fact that you can also obviously play it for yourself and draw 2 cards for 3 is really good too if you can spare the life. We have 1 Black Mass. Black Mass is a tutor. It's the browse for evil, I suppose. Top 7 spells, and then you can throw it 3 different minion though. So this is a really good filtering spell in that list. We have 2 copies of Infiltrate as well. Infiltrate is an all-star spell, has been since the start of Sorcery basically. You just get to control the board a little bit better when you draw Infiltrate. And to finish the spells, we have 2 Poison Nova. Same as well, if you need a bit of control, a reset button, Poison Nova is there for you. You'll get rid of any danger, immediate danger. You can have, most of your skeleton token die from this, not a big deal. We'll go through our sites now. So we start with 2 double threshold, active volcano. No need to explain too much on that. Double threshold on the side is busted. This is some of the best sites that came out of Gothic, really strong. We have 1 Dark Tower, 2 Den of Evil. So Den of Evil reads Genesis. This turn the next evil cast to this site cost 1 less, ignoring threshold. Ignoring threshold can be relevant as well. You can have your Draconian Bone Kite coming a turn early, and then if you don't have the threshold, well, it's fine. You can play it for 6 basically. So I really like this card. We have 1 Field of Camlin as well, so big reset button. You get to keep 1 minion, so does your opponent, and then clears the rest. Field of Fixes. Only 1 copy of this. Hasn't proven really strong so far for me. I've silenced a couple of sites that were blocking me from doing anything. We'll get to it in a couple of sites. But yeah, only 1 copy of this because I think this is not as strong as I thought it would be. Still a situational, still can get you out of a pickle, but nothing too crazy. Another tower. So this is one of the sites that Field of Fixes can be relevant. That's why I was alluding to. Core Crematory is such a strong site that this goes basically against a lot of synergy in this deck, but he can shut down your opponent deck as well, and in that sense it's really worth running. 4 fire threshold, and it reads, if a card will be placed in a cemetery, banish it instead. Very simple, really strong effect. So it blocks a lot of synergy in our deck, as in the Grigory Rasputin, the Skeleton Mage, recurring all the magics and all that. But shutting down some list, purely, like some Death Speaker, and all those sort of decks is just too strong to pass on. So 1 copy of Core Crematory, another tower. Lookout is a great site. If you start with it in your hand, you get more information. Drawing that in the end game is a bit of a waste, basically. It's always good to have information, but you want to understand what your opponent start with, basically. It's probably the best situation to play a lookout. We also have 2 other 2 threshold sites, so mountain peaks. We have 1 observatory. Observatory is good to filter your deck. You look at the next 3 spells on your deck, you put them back in any order. 2 open mausoleum. So Genesis, you pay 1, you summon a skeleton token here. Same strategy, pumping out skeleton tokens. Poison Well, good chip damage. Usually takes about 2 to 3 life off your opponent just by playing a site. So it's part of that chip damage strategy that we have, direct damage, chip damage. We also have 2 River of Blood. So because we don't heal much in this list, it really works in our favor against the ring and then all that sort of stuff. Divine healing as well. I think the new one is called Life Wish, so that fully heals Avatar, so you'll get to, although I haven't really seen Life Wish played so far, but I'm sure it'll come up eventually. So River of Blood, really good in that list. Saint Well, we went over it. Death Rite abilities here are also Genesis abilities, so it is particularly good with the Scarabs. It also works pretty well with Those Will Linger, because you get to have basically your 3 minion dying on the spot. So if you have your skull, you need to finish your opponent's avatar, you really struggle with movement, etc, etc, it keeps getting away, then you play those will linger on the send world. If your opponent's avatar is nearby, it will die. So really like that Saint World. I think is gone a bit under the radar as opposed to Ghostwood when it first came out. Moving on, we have 2 Sold Out Cemetery as well. Sold Out Cemetery is one of those sites you want to start with in your hand and then play as a second site, ideally in front of your avatar, or play as first site as well, so you keep pumping skeleton and then give them +1 movement for a turn. So really strong. The second site you want to start with, basically, or at least play in your back row corners. Corners, I'll get to it in a second, is Temple of Moloch. So once on each player's turn, they may sacrifice the minion here to gain 2. So you're gonna sacrifice your skeleton tokens. That's the point of the deck. Well, that's one of the point of the deck. So you want to have your Temple of Moloch ideally in your back row, in the corner, so it's not that accessible to your opponent. It will have to go a bit out of its way to get the effect, and the effect is too strong. Like having an extra 2 mana a turn is huge. So you get to, you know, let's say you have your Sold Out Cemetery, you play Temple of Moloch next to it, you get to have skeleton token that will be pushed on the Temple of Moloch, and then you can sacrifice them straight away, get that 2 mana extra, and this can happen pretty much every turn. So this, in combination with a manuscript and all of that, you're sacrificing a lot, you get a lot of direct advantage, you get a card, you get 2 mana. Really good synergy in here. Next up we have the Ghostwood, so opposite of Saint World. It reads Genesis ability. Here are also Deathrite abilities. So Genesis ability is really strong in the form of Skeleton Mage, you know, because you put it on, it gets to bring, you know, let's say a detonate, and then it dies because, you know, that's the point of the deck. All your skeleton dies, and it gets to bring back another spell. So the most of the deck revolves around detonate and then minor explosion and searing through. So bringing those spells back is really important. We also have a copy of the Manor at Dapril Hill. Really cool site, love the art. So 4 threshold, 4 hair threshold. Once on your turn, this may deal 3 damage to target enemy here to heal you 3. So it says target enemy. So if there's more than 1 enemy on this side, you can choose which one you want to target with 3 damage. So it's really good, and heal you 3 as well. A site that heals is, you know, extremely powerful. We also have a copy of Vesuvius. Vesuvius is one of my all-time favorite sites. The condition is 3 fire thresholds, sacrifice Vesuvius. Each unit occupying nearby sites take 3 damage. So it blows up a lot of things. A lot of minions, really strong. We also have Vindictive Nation on your 1 copy, because I'm yet to see it in action. So I know the effect is strong, but I've never really seen it do any damage so far, and I have a lot of games with that list. I know it's powerful, but I haven't seen it in action. So that's for Vindictive Nation, and then we finish off with 2 Withering Heights. And it reads, once on your turn, you may fly a minion at the top here onto a nearby site. This is really good because your minion doesn't need to have airborne to be flew across this site, and yeah, it works a little bit like the Sold Out Cemetery with that +1 movement per turn for your minion when they are on top of this site. So yeah, it's really strong. You have that. With a Dapril Vampire on top, you get the airborne-like movement, plus, you know, airborne-like movement on the Dapril Vampire. It just send you basically wherever you need on the board. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's the Bon Apolti Necromancer list. I'm really having a lot of fun with this deck. This is the 3rd version of it, and yeah, as I said at the start of the video, this is the most balanced one. All the direct damage really does the work, chip damage as well, and you know, playing a Necromancer deck is pretty strong. A lot of you are not subscribed on the viewer. About 70% of the viewers are not subscribed, so if you don't mind hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel for more content. It really helps pushing all of these videos to more people, make the channel known in general, and then spread the good word of sorcery around. So stay tuned for the next deck tech, guys, and I'll see you around.